Welcome to the PickUp Podcast, the place where women pick each other up, dust each other off, and help each other to shine. This is a place of lifting, refreshing, and truth-telling. Our goal? To collect the broken pieces of our lives and create a beautiful mosaic that reflects light and hope to the world. So take a deep breath, sis, because you've just found 2 new friends for your journey. We just have one question for you. Are you ready to pick up where we last left off? Let's begin. Hey everybody, what's up? It's Chrisette with the PickUp Podcast, and we are recording live from Inclusion Coffee in Arlington, Texas. It's been a blast being here to record the motherhood segments, and we're just going to take a couple of minutes to talk with Miss Cynthia Smitherman, right? I got your last name right?
That's right.
Awesome. We're going to talk about her motherhood journey because it's a little bit different than the other women that have been on the podcast. As you know, if you've been tuning in, which we hope that you have been, she is mentoring, mothering her younger brother who has Down syndrome, right? So we'd love for you to just talk to us a little bit about what that journey is like for you.
Sure. So I'm the oldest of 4, and my brother is the youngest. As you said, he's 37, and so he's been living with me since he graduated high school, because everybody left home when they graduated high school, and so that was his next transition. And we were very happy. My husband was great, very supportive of having him come live with us, and so we just always have had him at home with us. He's been great. He's very independent, very smart, very intuitive. And so he is an artist. He loves to draw and things like that. Loves music and church and worship and just about everything. And so it's been great to have him around, definitely. And I think some of the challenges for us have just been trying to pack his schedule with something to do that where he's not home all of the time, doing nothing, just watching TV and movies and whatnot. And so I am very grateful that there's organizations that provide day hab services for adults with special needs, like my brother, who he can then go to those places and they teach him life skills, they take him out on outings, they get to be social with each other, they get to go out into the community, they go out to the movies and they eat at restaurants and go to the library and do scavenger hunts. And so COVID kind of threw a damper in that a little bit, but they're slowly getting back on the groove. And so he's part of a day hab called Advocates for Special People.
Okay.
And they are great place to work. The organization started by parents of kids with special needs, and so it was just a place to have your kids go that they could do something and just be out of the house, really. And so that's been very helpful, I think, for all of us. The problem, I think, with adults with special needs is that, of course, I volunteered for this, right? My brother wanted to come live with me, and we volunteered to have him. And I know that's not always the case with most families, right? The parents start to get older. They're the ones taking care of an adult with special needs. And at some point, the parents are unable or they're gone. And now there's this adult with special needs that the siblings have to figure out, how do I care for them, and with their own families and their own children. And I think that's the harder part of this situation. And so I know there's resources to put them into group homes, and I believe the government sometimes can help fund those kinds of things through programs. The unfortunate thing is that you go on a waiting list, and it takes years. My brother's been on this group home waiting list, not because he wants to live in a group home, he wants to live at home, but you get access to funding that will support some of these activities and support the things that he would really benefit from.
Gotcha.
And so, but you're on the waiting list for 15 years or something like that.
Wow.
And
so that sounds really difficult, right? Like, so your brother has you, which is amazing, and obviously you're in his corner, you've got his back, right? But how does another family, navigate that, taking 10 or 15 years to even be able to have the option? Now you have a young adult going from their 20s into their mid-30s, and they need to live and have life in that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, too, it's financially it's a challenge, but also I don't think a lot of people realize that even parents, maybe they'll decide to plan a little bit and leave an inheritance or money. They maybe saved a little bit of money and they're like, here, this is what I have to help take care of my special needs person. You have to put it in a special needs trust.
Wow.
Because if you don't, and the child inherits that money, then their income level now goes up, and they're disqualified from getting social security or SSI or things like that. There are benefits that they get to help pay, maybe for a caregiver, for their expenses, for their meals and their house, clothes and medical care. And so that's, I think, really challenging. So there's a financial aspect, not just the can I care for them? And then, of course, depending on how ill the person is. I'm very fortunate. My brother isn't very ill, but he does get Medicare and Medicaid, and so that's not, there's not as much of a financial burden from that.
So what are some, I know that we talked a little bit about some support resources for families that are dealing with this, right? Wanting to be able to do the right thing for their special needs brother or sister, son or daughter. But what are some resources that you know of in the community that might be able to help point them in the right direction, that they, could kind of help them have some autonomy over their life and have a full adulthood?
Yes, and so I know that there's several of these day have places. We just happen to be part of Advocates for Special People, and we also work with Aim High, who is actually kind of not like a caseworker, a social worker, so they kind of help get the money from the government and then disperse it for his services. So my brother does speech therapy, so they are in charge of that. And then, of course, he goes to Day Have, and so they funnel the money. And if he needs dental care, they provide some funding for that as well. Mm-hmm. So they pay the dentist, and then that leaves me to not have to deal with any of that, which is great.
It is great, right? Less off your plate. Because like you said, physical, mental, right, yes. Emotional, all of that support that you have to get. And we'll definitely be sure to link some of the groups below, so that way other parents that are looking to get connected, right? What are some groups that maybe you're a part of? Like, is there any social media or Facebook or, that gives support to other parents that they can go? Because we talked a little bit off camera about how you kind of have to be in the mix to know where to even start looking. So do you have any guidance for those parents where they can start?
Definitely. And I actually learned a lot about this special needs things, trusts and things like that, through an organization called the Down Syndrome Partnership of North Texas. They're a very big, active community here, specifically targeting obviously Down syndrome. But they help parents of newly, babies with Down syndrome, and they have parenting classes and as you go through high school or as you're growing up, and they have a lot of great resources there that they really come alongside parents and caretakers to help, give you some information.
Yeah. That's perfect. We're definitely going to make sure to link that information below. We want everyone to have access. And if you're watching and if you are in North Texas specifically and you know of any agencies that would be helpful, definitely drop it below, because we want to be able to come alongside, right? So part of motherhood is that it's not just us, it's networking, right? It takes that whole village to raise these kids. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. You are an amazing soul for taking care of your brother.
Oh, thank you.
It's been my honor to be able to talk with you about it today.
It's actually the opposite. I think he takes care of me more than I take care of him.
Isn't that always the way, right?
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Cynthia Smitherman, thank you for being with us. We're going to link all that information below, and stay tuned for another short that we have coming up. Hey everybody, what's up? It's Chrisette with the PickUp podcast, and we are picking up where we left off again. This time we're going to be talking to one of our motherhood panelists, Cynthia Bush. Cynthia, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Super happy to have you here. And Cynthia is a mother of adult sons. She also has sons at home, and she's got grandchildren. So we wanted to talk with you a little bit about mothering across the generations, because that has its own challenges, right? So talk to me a little bit about that. What do you do when you've got a grown adult and some younger adults too?
Like you said, I have 4 kids, 2 granddaughters. They are 3 different generations because they're 8 years apart, except for the last 2. They're only 14 months apart. Mothering the older 2 was easier because I can be more of a stern mother, and they won't get their feelings hurt.
Gotcha.
But mothering these last 2, this generation that we have now, it's a little bit different. Because if you get mad at them or you tell them something and you're like, they're in their feelings, they don't want to talk to you because they've been hurt, you hurt their feelings, and I'm just like, dudes, you're boys. Grow up. Get over it. It's what we do. So, I mean, and then, like I said, I can tell Michael, the older two, something, and I can even speak in code, as we mothers do speak in code to our kids.
We do.
They'll get it. But these other two, they're like, huh? What does that even mean?
Right.
I'm like, guys, come on, are you serious?
Yeah.
But what I do like about it is if Mike, the younger two, 18 and 20, act up, I can call Michael Christian. Hey, you need to call your brothers. Hey, this happened, that happened, call your brothers. And they'll call them, they'll find out what happened. They'll have a more sensitive part to them than I would.
Right.
So I'm just like, okay, that works. They don't only have me and their dad to, respond to or answer to. They have their older brothers to answer to too.
Yeah.
So that they've helped us a lot, in that part as far as like Antonio, for some reason, he decides he wants to be a fighter in school. So he's gotten into 2 fights in school already. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know where this came from, who this kid is, because this is not you.
Yeah.
So I called the brothers. Hey, call your brother, something's going on with him, find out. They're not going to tell me exactly what's going on. So they did, found out. Okay, same thing with Adrian. Adrian got into some trouble. I called Michael because he could relate more to him than anything about the situation. So he called him and he's like, okay, Mom, this is what he told me, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. As long as I know that they're able to open up to them, I have no problem with that.
So it's nice because you get like a little additional parenting coverage, right?
Where I can't figure it out, they step in and they figure it out and they talk to them and then they come and tell me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, we got this.
That's awesome. You have eyes everywhere.
Yeah.
It really is a benefit, right? Yeah. I'm the second youngest of 10, and so I'm very close with my older brother. And, he's not my dad, but it's nice to have someone that you can trust that's older than you, that you can, share information with, and that relationship goes on for the course of your life. So I think that's great. Yeah. So what about, how was it when your granddaughters got introduced into the picture? Because your boys were older, so moving into another generation.
Yeah. Well, Jocelyn is 13 and Madison is 5. So they're their own generation too.
Yeah.
But when we found out about Jocelyn, it was surprising because I never even knew the mom existed. So I was like, oh, okay. But being that they're girls made it a little difficult for me because all I had was boys. So I didn't really know how to be that really sensitive mother part of me or grandmother part. But as Jocelyn got older, I was able to adapt to her. And Madison, they have their own personalities. Jocelyn is more to herself and doesn't really, she's very shy. She doesn't talk to anybody, anything like that. The other one, the 5-year-old, me and her can go at it. And then she'll be like, no, Grandma, I don't want to do that. No, Grandma. I'm like, no, we don't do that.
Right. So it's different raising generations and genders.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Very different. And
definitely.
People always say girls are harder to raise. I don't think so. I think boys are harder because for me being the mom and they have their dad, but just for me being the mom, being in the same household with them, how do you show them how to be a man?
Right.
When the dad is there, but the dad is not there 24/7. The mom is there 24/7. So I always struggle with that. Like, how can I show you how to do the man part of this whole thing of life?
Yeah.
But when I have the girls, it's totally different. And I'm just like, it just comes so natural with the girls. I can tell them how to be girly. I can tell them, how to do this, how to do that. But with them, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So I'm like,
Right. It's so nice when they get older and you can just say, hey, this is a question for Dad now, right? Like, this is something to talk to Daddy about.
Yes.
My boys are getting older and it's fabulous.
Oh, yes.
Because I no longer have to try to figure those things out.
I can't answer that for you, but maybe your dad has an answer for you.
Right.
Probably not.
He'll know.
Yeah.
He's dealt with this too. Awesome. Well, definitely different challenges across the generations and the different genders. So thank you for talking with us about that. Do you have any last pearls of wisdom to give us about how to navigate that?
I would say just listen to your kids. Our kids, at this day and age, they have a mind of their own. They want what they want. And if they want what they want, you can't pretty much change their mind.
Yeah.
Unless they've experienced something that's going to cause them to change their mind.
Yeah.
So just communicate with them. Talk to them. Listen, basically.
Awesome. Cynthia's over here dropping pearls, y'all. I hope that y'all are picking them up, communicate, listen, give all that good energy to the kids and letting them know that you're there for them. Yes. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for sharing with us. We are going to do some more selected shorts for the PickUp podcast, and we can't wait to see you guys on the next one. Thanks.
Tune